Hello and welcome back to the 17th episode of the Tower Sports Advising Podcast. Today's special guest is Tim Mayo, head coach at Nichols College.
Thanks for having me, guys.
No problem. Glad to have you on. I was talking to Goss. I think Goss was either 6th or 7th podcast, and we were just kind of talking about like what Nichols was before you had gotten there, and it's crazy to think about, but it's when I was in my recruiting day. Like if you were going to Nichols, and I've said it to you before, it was like that was like the last stop that people were going to make. And it's crazy in that short amount of time how much it's changed essentially. And I think one, that goes credit to you, obviously, but it's like we go to your camps and stuff with our travel teams now, and it's just like a whole different atmosphere at Nichols.
Yeah. Thank you. I don't think it was all me, but I like to think that part of it was me. You know, the school itself has changed a lot. They've done a ton of updates. They added the golf course, so the school owns the golf course, and the field's gotten nicer. They've added majors. They've essentially lowered the price to come here. It's a lot of things are trending in the right direction. Apparently, our colors are now purple, as you can see my shirt. I don't know what's going on there, but I promise you I'm not wearing a purple shirt right now. But yeah, I appreciate it. It's just a lot of hard work and commitment to a mission that, like, myself and the staff and the players, from the last guy to the best guy that I've had, and we've been consistent with it, and we're starting to make progress in that direction.
Awesome. So I want to start by diving into your playing career. Played baseball at Springfield College from 2001 to 2003. First question I have there is what was it like at Springfield College during your playing time?
Yeah, Springfield was a cool place. It was close to my hometown, only about 20 minutes away, 15 minutes away. I played for Coach Simeone, who was a longtime coach. He taught me a lot of what I know about pitching, and that was kind of my first experience in, like, a real pitching coach. So a lot of my systems and, pitching movements and things like that have stemmed from him. Great guy to play for, cared about his players, kind of a legend. But Springfield was a great place, a ton of athletes. I enjoyed the academics there. I enjoyed, the athletics there, the social life there. It was good. My playing career wasn't great. I didn't take the weight room as serious as I needed to, ended up injuring myself and then never really bouncing back, at least velocity wise, but I found a way to stay on the roster for 4 years. And thank God, because had I not been able to do that, I probably wouldn't have this career now, which is, in my opinion, the best job in the world. So it was definitely a positive experience at Springfield, and it set me up with a network of a ton of ADs, coaches, trainers, people all over the country. So I'm always bumping into Springfield College people.
I think the cool part, again, grew up in Mass, but the cool part is like you take AIC, right? And it's like and the school is nice at AIC, but it's just not in a good area. And then I talked to kids like growing up and kids that I knew that went there to Springfield, and kids now, like obviously with Coach Shade over there, I'm trying to help him send guys that way. And I'm like, you go there and it's nothing compared to like the area AIC's in. It doesn't even look like the same town or the same city.
Yeah.
And it's like, these kids almost don't even know it like exists. Because it's like, oh, it's Springfield. It's not a great area. And I'm like, no, go look at the school. The school's beautiful.
Yeah. If you stay within the gates, you're in your own little community. And Springfield has invested millions of dollars into their facilities and buildings and stuff. It really done a good job with that. But yeah, definitely a good experience. I did 6 years. So I did undergrad, and then I finished my grad work right away, right after graduation. So spent a good amount of time there.
Awesome. All right. I want to dive into your coaching career. Started coaching career at Long Meadow High School in 2004, stayed there until 2009. Took the assistant job at Nichols College in 2009, helped the Blazers reach the NECC championship. 2010, took the assistant job at Western New England, stayed there for 4 seasons. The Golden Bears made 4 NCAA regional appearances and reached the College World Series in 2011. Pitching staff allowed the second fewest walks in the country that year. Became the head assistant and pitching coach at Eastern Connecticut from 2014 to 2016. During time there, team went 55-26, secured the number 1 seed in the NCAA regional in 2014. Pitching staff ranked 12th in the nation in ERA. Moved on to Trinity College in 2016 for 2 seasons as the assistant coach and recruiting coordinator. Made the NESCAC championship in 2016. Became the head coach at Nicholls in the summer of 2018. In 2024, became the 3rd winningest coach in program history. Also became the assistant director of athletics in 2021. In 2021, named Commonwealth Coast Conference Coach of the Year. Set program records in home runs with 29, on base percentage at 444, slugging at 542, and second highest in team batting average at 343. And just this past season in 24, had one of the best seasons ever with a 29-13 record. New single season benchmarks included stolen bases at 110, runs at 371, RBIs at 333, doubles at 87, total bases at 683, and home runs at 38. Notched your 100th career win when the team advanced to the 2025 Conference of New England Championship game as the highest seed ever. I mean, the big question I kind of have for you is, again, and I didn't know most of the stops that you had, and I've known you for a while, but what did you take from all your stops along the way and bringing that to being the head coach at Nichols?
It's a compilation of working under a lot of really good coaches and being put into some really good situations where I was fortunate enough to be included and part of programs that were really good or had a really good history of being good, like all the way back to Long Meadow. Like Long Meadow in sports in the early 2000s, they were good in everything, like football, basketball, baseball. So I was kind of thrown into that right away. And that was like the baseline of my coaching. Like, okay, like we're in a championship every year, essentially. So that sort of like program and vibe and season year after year is like what I became used to, and didn't really know much different. So then I got the opportunity to go to Elms. Don LaValle was the coach at the time. He's a longtime NCAA umpire. He showed up at my bat shop one day. I didn't know who he was. And he just said, "Hey, I want you to come be my pitching coach." And I replied with, "Who are you?" I had no idea who he was. So I called up Coach Simeone. I called up Coach Branch, who was at Western New England at the time. And I said, like, "Who's this guy down the valley?" And they're like, "Yeah, he's a good guy. You should go do it." So I did that. And we were lucky that year. We made it to the finals, lost, but we made it to the finals. Our whole team was freshmen. There were very few upperclassmen, and I forget who we played, but they were not freshmen. So, we didn't get it done. I actually applied for the head job at Elms at the end of that season. Didn't get it. I had 1 year of college coaching experience under my belt. Obviously, I wouldn't get that job. And Matt LeBranch scooped me up over at Western New England, won a ton of games, went to a regional every year, went to a World Series in 2011. Again, like he built that program up. I stepped in kind of at the tail end and was able to help maintain, it at that level. Had really good pitching staffs there, some of the best in the country. I ended up going with him to Eastern when he took that job. And again, like really good players, really good tradition there. We were, top in the league as a pitching staff, number one seeded in regional, like you said. Was there for 2.5 years. Went to Trinity, a team that won a national championship, just like Eastern. I will say at Trinity, when I left Trinity and went to Nichols, that very next season, they got an at-large bid. So I like to think that my recruiting helped with that a little bit, and they reaped the benefits. I jumped ship, but so Coach Adamski, you're welcome. And then been here, but like it's all different experiences. But I think the common thing at all the stops was the goal was to be the best team in the league and very attainable goals at all the schools that I was at. And it's kind of like just I've known nothing but championship culture in my stops by sheer coincidence, I think. And it really helped me when I got to Nichols, where it was kind of the opposite of that. It helped me bring Nichols up to speed because that's the only thing I knew. So, who I am today as a coach is because of all the good coaches and that I had the opportunity to work with in my past.
For me, what was it like? Your recruiting must have changed a little bit going from school to school. I know you demographically, you like to recruit all across the country. Just two guys that I know of was Heido that you guys had who played at Rutgers. He's from Florida. And then you had Knox, who's now at Quinnipiac or graduated from there. But what was it like changing schools, and did your recruiting philosophy change at all, or did it you kind of stick on your core principles?
I So I didn't really start recruiting heavily as part of my role in the staffs until I got to Trinity. I did more local stuff at Elms, Western New England, and Eastern. And then when I got to Trinity, obviously they recruit more at a nationwide level, with the admissions part of the school being so, more difficult to get into. But it definitely changed from school to school. I like the idea of recruiting nationwide. My goal at Nichols is 50% out of region, 50% in region. And we've been working towards that. Couple reasons. One, there's a lot of schools up in New England. So if you go outside of New England, you're going to have less competition essentially with all the other colleges. And two, there's really good players out there. We've found that like in Texas, there's a lot of good players that really don't know where they're going. Same thing in Florida. So we've ventured to those states a lot, and we've been getting a good amount of Texas kids, Florida kids in the past 7 years here. But I forgot the question, honestly, after rambling there. But, I wanted to bring that nationwide recruiting to Nichols. I believe in what Nichols does. I feel really good about selling this school and recruiting to this school. So it's easy for me to talk about it. And I think, what we offer from a baseball side of the house and a business, academic side of the house, I think it's really attractive to kids all over the country. So that's why we get out there.
Awesome. So I always like to throw a question there for the coaches that grew up in the Northeast. What do you think was the hardest part of your recruitment with growing up in the Northeast?
So I actually was a walk-on at Springfield, but I think, travel baseball wasn't really a big thing. There weren't many showcases. There weren't teen camps. There weren't really prospect camps. It was more like you played for your high school, you played for your Legion team, which I loved. And that was it. And maybe a coach would show up at a game, maybe in a tournament. So if your team wasn't making the postseason, you're probably never being seen. And maybe you were lucky to have a high school coach or a Legion coach that would help promote you a little bit to colleges, things like that. But it wasn't like what it was now. There are so many options and so many ways for players to kind of be seen. I grew up back in the day when America Online was the only like internet thing. So there wasn't these recruiting websites, and YouTube wasn't even a thing, I think, back then. So even, getting yourself to coaches through email or YouTube videos or whatever, that wasn't a thing. So recruiting was non-existent back when I was growing up in the late 90s in high school. So way different now.
I mean, I think for good and for better, right? I think it's with recruiting now, and we'll dive in, that's our next topic, but again, every coach is different. The way they recruit is going to be different. Like we had Coach Loazo on the podcast, the last one, and he talks about like guys at Duke, right? But he still recruits the same way he recruited his entire career. And that's a guy, again, yes, with the rigorous school that they have to go through to be able to get into that institution. It's a little bit different, but it's like guys that have made all these stops, right? And they've made all these connections, they still recruit the same, whether they were at one stop or the other. Like that doesn't change the coach. Yes. Okay. You add the school part in and maybe it makes it a little bit harder. Maybe you need to go after the guy that's a 4.0, whereas before you could get the guy that was a 3.2, which is a little bit different. But I'm like, their baseball instincts don't change, right? They're going to watch certain things that you do that you might not even know a coach is watching you do. And I think that's kind of the cool part, again, of what I'm doing, talking to coaches like you and kind of just like understanding and giving kids information of like, this is what this coach is looking for. Like, and he's not going to sit here and lie to you and tell you anything that this isn't something that he applies to every recruit that he has on his campus. And I think that's kind of the cool part, essentially, with the way recruiting is moving.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. I'm recruiting the same way I did at Trinity, the same way I did at Elms, just at a different school with a little different parameters.
Awesome. So let's dive into recruiting. What are you looking for in a recruit when you go to see them play, pitchers and hitters? Is there something that stands out to you about both?
I mean, I think with both guys, hitters and pitchers, really, they're the way they move on a field. If they have apparent like energy and demeanor on the field, like I really love guys who you can visibly see that they love playing baseball. And that's super important because it's a hard game. It's a long grind before you get to your spring season. If you don't absolutely love it, it's going to be a job for you and it's probably not going to work out. So guys that play the game the right way, guys that move well, guys with good baseball frames, I always catch my eye right off the bat. But most importantly, guys that I believe from watching them interact with their teammates and, take BP and take IO and how they communicate on the field and the energy they bring in the dugout. If all of those things are showing me that they love baseball, then that's a guy I want, because I know that type of player can get better.
I think with out of how many people we've had on this podcast, I think winning baseball is synonymous with energy, competitiveness, and wanting it. So I think everybody we've talked to kind of hit the nail on the head with the same thing you've been saying. Because like a lot of guys might think they love it, but until you get into that rigorous fall schedule, doing classes, then taking that month off to going right into a 40-game season, you don't really truly know if you actually love the sport or not until you get into the thick of things.
Yeah. So if you're half in to start, it's going to be an uphill battle for sure. But yeah, I mean, I love guys that I think we can get better. So like tall, skinny pitchers, love them. Again, hitters and fielders that have really good tools, but maybe need more time in the weight room. Love those guys because, we can offer that for them once they get here.
All right, diving into the next question is, are you more likely to recruit kids from team camps and college showcases or going to watch them play in like a perfect game or a prospect select?
So we're going to try to do all the above, but the guys that I really pay attention to are the guys that come to prospect camps. Team camps are awesome. You get to spend a whole day or two with the same group of kids, see maybe like 15 ABs from each guy, see a guy throw, 5 to 6 innings. I think those two, most of our roster come from team camps or prospect camps. We'll go out and look at teams at tournaments and things like that. That's good for the most of the time. That's good for like first time seeing guys. We're like, oh, I saw this pitcher for this team at this tournament. Let's try to get him to camp. Let's try to get his summer team to team camp, things like that, so we can see them more. But I solely rely on prospect camps and team camps for the most part to build our roster. I just think they're so valuable. And like the kids who come to those things, they're showing interest and investing their time and energy into you and your program. Like they're not just some kid you found on Twitter, or they're not just some kid you saw at a random, tournament somewhere. They're showing active interest in you by coming there for that day or for that weekend. And I think that says a lot in the recruiting process.
I mean, you touched on it there, but like, often do you use Twitter for recruiting?
I'm not a Twitter guy, so my assistants are all over Twitter, and
Colby.
Sometimes I'll try to hop on and maybe see a video of a kid swing or maybe some pitches. But I've never been a Twitter guy. I don't know why, but my assistants definitely. So probably the younger coaches use Twitter a lot just to get glimpses on guys or to maybe fact check a little bit, see some velos, things like that.
I don't think there's been a field that I've gone to where I haven't seen Colby or Kev on their phone looking at someone in between a recess session or the team going in between on the field. I always see someone from your school is always on their phone recruiting.
Let's go. So they're doing their job is what you're telling me. Nice. That's good. Thank you.
All right. Next question is, what's your best advice to a high school athlete trying to play college baseball today?
My best advice is take the weight room seriously. The sooner you can start to bulk up and get stronger, the better the chance you have at landing at a college or a college roster and playing sooner rather than later. The other part of the advice would be, find a school where you find value in both the program, the coaching staff, what the school can offer you in regards to like strength training, facility use. Do you have a field? Can you use it? Do you have a cage? Can you use it? But also, finding value in the school. So don't go to a school, don't commit to a school just because of baseball. That could end up very bad for you. So weight room, find the right place and just continue to love the game, because once that's gone, it's over. So find ways to, find joy in practicing and lifting and playing the game, whatever it takes. Just stay invested in like the joy of playing it. And that's going to help you a lot.
This next question, you kind of touched on a little bit. So if we'll skip it if you don't have anything else, but when evaluating a high school player, what's the first thing you watch beyond the tools and the stats?
So yeah, I kind of touched on it, just how they move, the energy they have. Do they look like they're enjoying themselves, or are they miserable on the field? What are they doing in the dugout? Are they staying, locked in? Are they rooting for their teammates? Things like that. A good example, and you mentioned Johnny Knox, Josh, is, when I saw Johnny play as a high school kid. He was undersized, little scrappy guy. It was like 95 degrees at a Southern Connecticut camp. It might have been even 3 days back then, but every time he walked, it was a full out sprint to first base in like brutal heat. And he didn't stray from that approach. He did it every time. And I'm like, damn, if this kid can go all out sprint in this heat, game 7 of this team camp, that's a kid I want on my roster if he's grinding that hard. So just really watching, what they do besides when they're hitting or besides when they're fielding a ball or making a pitch can really give you a good picture. But as a coach, you just got to pay attention to that. And I think I used to take those things a little bit lighter when I first started coaching. Now I'm pretty heavy on that stuff because I know, character and stuff like that is going to carry a lot further than how hard you can throw a ball or, how well you can feel the ball or how far you can hit it. Those other things are really going to help down the road.
I'd be the first one to attest to that. I played against him and coached against him. If there was, he was number 1, right? If you saw number 1 flying across your screen, you knew it was Johnny Knox. Like, I don't think that energy changed from when you saw him on that field in the 7th day to what he was doing when I was coaching against him. And I think that energy portion of it is something you can't teach. It's got to come from the kids. And I think if you can have it from an early age, it sets you out. You stand out compared to your peers who might, like you said, might look like they don't enjoy the game as much as the other people do.
Yeah. No doubt. I mean, and let this be a warning to the rest of the D3 world. We just committed another Johnny Knox clone, and we're very close for another. So, it's coming.
I think the cool part there and kind of what you both are talking about is it's not cool, but the best way of me saying this, right, is kids are so caught up in the social media of things, right? Like everything's posted, every at-bat's posted, all these things, right? And it's not like the cool thing to do. But that is what separated him in your eyes to take a chance on that kid. And it's like recruits will make fun of other kids in the dugout. It's just baseball, right? It's just talk. But people make fun of kids because of the things that they do like that. And I'm like, well, that caught your eye. So that got that kid into college. And these kids don't understand the fact of that was him owning the player that he was. And yes, did it maybe look stupid? Sure. In somebody's eyes, but in your eyes, it was all right, I'm going to take a chance on this kid. And that's what made him to an All-American and then gave him an opportunity to play elsewhere. If you didn't give him that opportunity, none of this would have ever happened.
No doubt.
And I think that's the cool part for me, but it's the kids need to start understanding those things. It's not that they matter, but it's what separates you. Like Pee Wee said, this is what separates kids. Maybe it looks dumb in your teammates' eyes, but keep doing it if that's something you do. It sounds strategic and it's do this, do that, right? But it's what gets kids into college because certain like I said before, certain coaches watch certain things, and if that's caught your eye, then keep doing it. Don't change because there's something that somebody on your team makes fun of you for. Dude, we played sports our whole life. Most of us have played this game since we were 3 years old. And just because you did it when you were 4, 5, 6, 7, don't stop when you're 8. Just keep doing the things. And if it's a positive thing, keep going with it. I think that's kind of where we get lost in the recruiting world because you have all these outside voices of that looks dumb. A college coach isn't going to like that. Well, why does it look dumb? Just because it's non-traditional, we'll call it. And I think that part right there is kind of the outside voices. Some kids need to get away from that. And I think with that, it's again, I'm ranting now, but it's going back to what you said of that caught your eye. And that was the high energy kid that you needed to have in your dugout.
100%. You can never go wrong by playing the game the right way. Always going to help you.
But it's not that there's not a perfect way. And that's, Pee Wee kind of touched on it before, we were talking before this. And there's no perfect way to play this game. Everyone's different. Everyone's a different player. Be yourself and respect the game. I'm going to ask this question, but I probably already know the answer to this one too. What's an example of a player you recruited because you saw something in their character, not just their skill?
With the Johnny example we already talked about, there's been a bunch of guys that I've recruited here that you can just tell there's a burning desire in them to continue to play baseball. that catches my eye. That tells me like, all right, this kid has a chance. It goes along with what I said about like loving the game and enjoying the game, but like an absolute like burning desire to get better and prove yourself. Those are like Nichols kids. And we try to get an entire program filled with those kids. And sometimes we succeed. Sometimes we miss on a couple guys, meaning we thought they were one guy and they're not. But those guys tend to weed themselves out. But if you can get a whole roster of kids with a burning desire to do things on the baseball field, you're going to be moving in the right direction. So, there's been plenty of guys with that mentality throughout the years here.
Last question with recruiting is, do you value kids who play multiple sports, or do you prefer a year-round baseball player?
I like multiple sport guys. I think, it teaches you how to compete in different, atmospheres and different arenas. So I think playing multiple sports, number one, it helps give your baseball body a little bit of a rest with the movements and the muscles that are used in baseball consistently, but it also gives you opportunity to learn, how to compete and become a better competitor and become a better teammate in different ways. But I love, I played basketball and baseball in high school, and I felt like as a basketball player, that really taught me how to like, never give up, like work my tail off. I was a defensive specialist. I couldn't shoot for anything when I needed to, but I could play defense and I could lock a guy down. And that really taught me how to dig in, which I think helped me on the baseball field. So definitely multi-sport guys.
Yeah, sports in general, obviously everybody watches all different sports, but that's the thing is like you just touched on is you get so many different characteristics that you can learn or gain from playing other sports. And I think I'm so anti one sport. I know I did it out of injury precaution, but I was playing football, soccer, baseball, basketball. I was trying to play anything I could because like you touched on, like you learn like in basketball, you're going to sprint a 10. That might get you in shape for baseball season. Or if you're a football guy, that just means when you're in the box and it's a 2-strike count or the ump screwed you over, you're not just going to roll over because on the football field, coach will just take you and put you on the bench, right? And I think kids are losing that aspect of just specializing because if I don't specialize, I won't be able to go to school. And I think that's the social media aspect of things is kids are getting lost in the I need to follow this thing because a coach put it out on Twitter that I have to do this, where every coach we've talked to said, I love multi-sport guys. So I think kids get lost in who to trust and who to listen to. And I think the ability to hear from coaches that are doing it every single day and are recruiting every single day, they've all came out and said, I love multi-sport athletes because of everything that you can gain on the mental side of things and the physical side of things.
Yeah. I mean, I hope more kids go back. Like I felt like it swung to like specialized for a while. I hope it goes back.
I say to my kids and the kids that I help with recruiting, and then the kids that essentially that I coach in travel baseball. But like, if a coach is throwing you a full scholarship and he says you can't play football your senior year, which 90% of the time they're not going to do that, right? They might do that if you're the number one recruit in their class and you're the right-handed pitcher and they want you to be a Friday guy as a freshman. Like they might do that. But unless a coach is giving you money, one, to go to their school, right, and telling you you can't play, then why aren't you playing? I think we've taken the athletic part away from kids, and not us in general as coaches. I think kids themselves are like, I don't really want to play football this year. Okay, well, why not? Like, yeah, is it tough on your body? Sure. Well, baseball is just not just as tough, but it's tough. So you're looking for a kid that either wants to play baseball from January 1 to December 31st, or you're taking a guy that can, one, take a break from throwing if he's a right-handed pitcher, right? And you go play football, go play soccer, go do the conditioning. But I think with that part is there are special cases where there are kids, like you said, you find kids that you want the tall, lanky guy, right? Well, if he's going to play football and he's not getting any looks and he's in the end of this fall going into his senior year, we're probably in the wrong spot. One, it might be a little too late. I mean, with the portal and how everything's shaping now, I mean, I don't know if there's an ever too late at this point, because I feel like you can sign a kid before the school day starts, that first day of classes. But I think with that, it's like kids need to realize like when it's time to stop and specialize in it And it's like, all right, I need to put on 25 pounds. Like me running in soccer 3 to 4 days a week and then playing 2 games isn't going to benefit me because I'm just losing weight. I think that part is the biggest thing that I don't know if we'll ever understand it, or parents, players, coaches, whatever it is. But I think if we can figure out a way for that to work, I think that would help our game a lot.
Yeah, agreed.
All right. Diving into the next question. If you could describe the culture of your program in 1 or 2 words, what would it be?
Blue collar, 100% from top to bottom, coaching staff included, consistent. So we're consistent in what we're doing every single day in regards to baseball development with our mindset and what we're actually doing. And then we're consistent in, on the recruiting side of the house too. Like we have a big staff by design, and we have a big staff that works hard by design, because that's what it takes, to get to that next level in your program goals. So blue collar and consistent, I think.
I know for me, when I joined the D3 realm about 4 or 5 years ago, when I went to Eastern, I didn't really know what D3 baseball is like. For me, our dad always was like, D3 baseball ain't the thing. You got to go get a scholarship, got to go try to get school for free, right? And when I joined Eastern, I didn't know what it was like when I stepped foot on campus. But like you said, it's like the D3 grind of baseball. It's all a bunch of grinders. It's not a whole ton of money being thrown around, or it's not a whole lot of coaches are making a ton of money. They're making a couple $100 maybe for camps, or they're getting free school because they're GA, but they got to pay to live, pay for food, everything like that. So I think I've slowly realized, I can attest, I played against you and I coached against your teams. Grinding and blue collar is 100%. I would agree with what you said, because I don't think I've ever seen any teams that you roll out there that aren't going to fight even when you're down 8-0 in the 4th inning. And I think a lot of teams just roll over and go, today's not our day, right? Let's move on tomorrow. We got a game this weekend. Let's go get those 2 games this weekend. But I think with you guys, 100% you hit the nail on the head. You guys just grind, and I think that's D3 baseball in a nutshell, because of everything that D3 doesn't get from a funding standpoint, and from the bad rap of, you play Division III baseball. It's not D2 or D1 where you're getting this money, or you get these nice TrackMan, or everybody's throwing 90, everything like that. So I just think it's nice to hear that grinding is definitely what D3 baseball is all about.
Yeah, and we take that, we let that fire us up. We fully embody that and embrace that. And that's the mindset. That's who we're gonna be, and we're gonna try to do it really well, and it wins baseball games.
I mean, I can attest too, right? We're at your team camp and Colby's trying to figure out how to play games. That's pouring rain out. Like what, not saying what coaching staff, but how many coaching staffs are going to be like, dude, I need to get these games in because I want to see these kids play. I don't know how many of those games you ended up getting in because it was monsooning, but
I think we did towards the end of the day. We let it dry a little bit. I think we got some more in, but yeah.
Colby's yelling like, we got 100 bags of Speedy Dry and all the other colleges that were there. Like, let's go. We got to get this ready. I mean, it's just cool, right? And it's kind of the stories you don't really hear anymore, because it's like everything, again, goes back to social media. Everything's posted online. But that doesn't mean all the good, and kind of like, I'd love a documentary of like, if you could do it where they're like, you could talk kind of what we're doing here, of like, talk to every head coach, right? And like kind of tell their story of like how they grew up, how their college life was, how their home life was, like what it looks like now. Like, did you come from nothing? We were kind of talking about other podcasts. It's like, we go back to scholarships and we do all these things, right? But it's how many of these kids that are getting full scholarships to go to these Power 5 schools that have come from nothing, like just staying off the streets, staying out of trouble, and like maybe school and the sport were like their home. And I'm like, how many of those kids are also coaches now, like past our time, right? Like I can think of kids that grew up with nothing that I played with that are coaching today or have made a name for themselves. And I think that's the cool part that like really defines who the coach is that people don't know. All right, moving on to development. Can you give us what a day in the life of a baseball player at Nichols looks like?
Yeah, sure can. So our guys, our guys don't have the luxury of sleeping in or taking naps throughout the day. So, to get to where we want to get to, we essentially have to outwork everyone in our conference and anywhere else. But so we're getting up early, sometimes 5 a.m. practice. sometimes 6 a.m. lifts, sometimes 7 a.m. lifts. So essentially Monday through Friday. So they'll get up early, they'll lift or do an indie session with the coaching staff. So small group work, one-on-one stuff. They'll go to class, they'll go to breakfast. On their break, they don't have the luxury of going to their dorm and taking a nap like normal college students do. They're coming back here and they're doing their lift or their indie, whichever one they didn't get done. Then they go back to class and lunch, and then they'll come back in the afternoon for our team block. We give them the night. They don't have to come back for study hall or anything like that. The night is theirs to, rest, socialize, do homework, whatever it is they need to do. So you run that back 5 days a week. And then, on the weekends, we won't do the indie work, but we will lift on game days, even if it's a weekend. And, you have your conference doubleheaders on Saturdays in the Conference of New England. So it's a lot. It's real baseball. Like it's everything that all the other good teams are doing. We're heavily invested in the weight room. We spent $18,000 protein for our guys last year, and whether it be powder or protein bars and other snacks. So we're monitoring meals, we're monitoring calorie intake, 3 to 4 days a week with our full strength staff, which we're lucky to have. So we know that part of the development is really important. As I mentioned earlier about my advice to, high school kids is get in the weight room. If you're going to beat grown men, you have to be a grown man. So we're really focused on nutrition and strength training and speed training and stuff like that. And then we've hammered mobility the past 2 years and arm care the past 2 years, not only for pitchers, but for all of our there's some sort of arm care program that we do consistently every single practice for 20 to 40 minutes every practice. So it's pretty much it. It's 3 athletic related activities a day, plus your meals, plus your sleep, plus your school. And maybe you have time to hang out with the guys at night.
For those guys listening, D3 baseball, it might sound like a lot, but you only get 24 days in the fall, right? So for D2, D1 guys, you have 6 days a week for 3 months before you do individuals. D3 is not blessed that way. So for the people listening, if you think that's a lot, you don't even understand until you get on campus that might be a light day of doing something like that, because you just have to crunch so much into a fall when you aren't blessed with having 3 months to work with the guys. When you only get them for 24 days in that second week of September, and you're done by Halloween, right? And I think I'm going to assume you guys do some plans to give kids their own thing for when you guys are off from that November period all the way until coming back in late January.
Yeah, no doubt. So our strength staff handles the lifting side. They actually monitor them through an app that they use. And then, I'll create the pitching programs for each guy over the winter. They're instructed to come back ready to go. So practice 1, we go live. So if we have 30 preseason practices before game 1, our hitters and pitchers are in live situations 30 times. So every single practice we have leading up to game 1, there is a live segment in the practice plan. So I feel like we really prepare our hitters well to be ready to go right away.
Awesome. Next question is, are you guys pro summer ball for development in your freshman year and sophomore year?
Yeah. Especially for positionals. I think it's you can't not play summer ball as a positional. You just need to see the pitching consistently and work on whatever you're trying to work on. Pitching wise, I think it's guy to guy. We'll try to keep guys under 80 innings for the year. So if you're a guy that pitched a lot, it may not make sense to pitch in summer ball. But if you're a guy that it makes sense, we're full go with that. But I think summer ball, like with Johnny and Brennan and Ben Jerome and Kyle Bouchard and all the guys that have come through here, summer ball is a huge part of their development. Like they wouldn't be the players they ended up being without the summer ball portion of it. It's not mandatory, but it's definitely highly recommended for the positionals and then suggested for the pitchers. And then we'll help them find spots. I typically tell them like, what part of the country do you want to see and hang out in for 2 to 3 months? And then we help them find spots in that part of the country.
I mean, prime example. Did you coach Cook?
No, he graduated kind of, I think 2 years before I got here.
Yeah. Because I played, he was in Nashville. He was all over the FCBO when I played.
Yeah.
And he was like the top of the hits guy. And I'm like, it's crazy. And it was like, that was Nick. Again, that was probably the rise of Nichols getting better until you had taken the job. But it's like this kid from Nichols College. And again, us growing up in Mass, we understand like what it was. And for him, it was like it was just another option for him to play. He was like, dude, I'm going to go get 200 at bats. And I think he played all 3 summers in Nashua, but it was like, he was in the top 3 of average every single year. I'm like, dude, this is crazy. And it's just like, you just see the growth of the school, which is pretty cool to see.
Yeah, he was one of the good ones in the early days of kind of like the change in Nichols baseball. A few other guys too, but they definitely kind of got the ball rolling for the brand and the name. And we're still in contact with Cam all the time. He's still heavily involved, and he's an active alumni in the program.
Is he the GM of? Is he the GM of Nashua
Yep.
now?
Yeah, he's the GM of Nashua. He reaches out to us every year to see who we got. He's obviously going to help get a Nichols guy on the roster if they're talented enough and if he's able to. And we've had like 1 to 3 every year since I've been here.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Last question about development. Is there a standout player that you've helped develop in your coaching career that really sticks with you?
Yeah, I mean, there's a good amount. I think a good example right now that a guy that we've helped and at the very least put him in positions to improve. A pitcher named Alan Hinckley. He's a sophomore for us. Actually going to be a junior. He just finished his sophomore year. So he was recruited at like 76, 77 miles per hour, but he was 6'4", lanky, had a changeup through strikes. He hammered mobility. He hammered the weight room. We started doing, Rapsodo with him, things like that. He's now 90 to 93. He's our number 2 this past season. He's going to continue to get better, has a chance to play after college. So that's one guy. Obviously, Johnny Knox, Brendan Hyde, guys that came in really undersized. And, we just put opportunity in front of them, like opportunity to swing all the time, opportunity to get extra reps, opportunity to get in the weight room a lot. And those guys really took every opportunity that Nichols baseball or Nichols College had for them, and they took full advantage of it, and it really paid out for them. But I'm sure there's a lot more guys that myself or the coaching staff has impacted that we don't even know about. But I say those 3, most recently are the main guys.
Awesome. All right, moving on to the camp segment. I know the answer to this because they're plastered all over my website. But do you guys host camps throughout the year? If so, why are they important for a recruit wanting to play at Nichols?
Yeah, it's the camps. It allows us to see guys more. Maybe we've seen them once on the road at a tournament, and it allows us to get them to campus and give us the opportunity to see them for like 4 to 6 hours instead of just, an hour and a half, 2-hour time limit game. It allows us to interact with them up close and personal, one-on-one. It allows them to get a vibe for our coaching staff and what words we use and what energy we have and see campus firsthand. Typically, when we can get a kid to campus, they're leaving campus saying, I never knew like how nice Nichols was. The buildings are renovated. It's a brand new kind of setup everywhere you look around campus. The addition of the golf course has been amazing. The field improvements have been great. That's how important the camps are. Like, it changes people's minds on Nichols College, Nichols baseball, if we can get them to a camp, to a team camp, to an on-campus visit, whatever it may be. So they are the backbone of our recruiting process. And, right now we do 4 prospect camps a year at least to give people plenty of opportunity to get here. Usually they're smaller by design, which is good because then we can spend more time with each kid who attends. So, but yeah, I love them. We're going to continue to do it. I think it's the most valuable event that we can offer for recruits.
Even though you're one of the luckier schools that have 5 coaches on staff, with you guys having 2 GAs, I still think it's really difficult because your guys are everywhere. I know I see them everywhere, but it's so hard to recruit a kid off of 1 at bat or 1 inning pitched. So that's why I always tell these guys I'm pro camp, because everything you just listed out, right? Like, you don't know Nichols is in the middle of Dudley, Mass. If you don't know anything about Dudley, Mass, you just think it's a giant hole in Massachusetts, right? But then you pull up and you get to see the whole school, the field, your guys' football field, everything, the golf course, everything that you guys have around it. I know I've lived in Mass my whole life. I didn't know you guys had a golf course until I played it a few years ago. So I think it's cool with all these camps that kids get a feel for what the school is like, but they also get a feel of what you guys are like, because sometimes those interactions when you're talking to coaches, they might be 2 to 3 minutes, nothing really big. But when you're on campus or you're on a recruiting trip and you get to talk to these coaches for hours upon hours of you get to ask is a zillion questions, or you get to see things that you're like, oh, I didn't know they had this, or oh, they have my major, I didn't know they had this because it didn't say online. And you get to find out these things, and it's one-on-one and everything's hands-on compared to just over the phone communication or just a quick conversation. So I think camps get a bad rap, but once kids understand what camps are used for, you understand that it's a very big recruiting tool that can help you get, it not only helps you get recruited, but also makes your decision easier because you see those things that you didn't know exist before you stepped on that campus.
Yeah. And by rule, right, you have to charge for camps, but we purposely charge as cheap as possible for ours because in my mind, it's more recruiting than about the fundraiser part of it. So I know there's some camps out there that charge $300 for a camp. We try to stay around 100 for everything we do.
I mean, period, like you said before, and you said it prior, it's like it's an unofficial visit, essentially, right? Like there's unlimited things that you can do at these camps, and they don't count towards anything, which I think is a cool way to look at it. I got a question for you, Tim, and this is if a kid's a recruit and let's say you're going to watch them in a tournament or wherever they're playing for that weekend, right outside of a showcase, and you invite them to a showcase. Is it important for you and your coaching staff to have them in front of you after you invite them, like before you want to commit them?
Yeah, our process is kind of, we typically don't offer kids unless they're on campus. So that kid has to show me that there is some level of interest back in us, them coming to campus before we extend to them our offer. I don't want to just throw, like roster spot offers out to everyone. I need to know that the kid actually sees some value and is interested in us for us to do that. So yeah, we always try to, if we see a kid, we try to get them either on campus or to a camp. Either way works for us. So they don't have to come to a camp to get a roster spot offer, but I do like them to get here some way, somehow, at some time before we officially extend. Essentially, D3 roster spot offers is the staff saying we're committed to you. We're offering you a spot. We're committed to working with you. We want you in the program.
And the other thing too, there is like how many schools are running 4 in the fall? You guys, it's not like you guys, because you guys don't run a team camp in the fall, right?
We just started this year, yeah. But team camps in the summer, prospect camps in the fall is usually how we run it. Yeah.
So you're running 4 prospect camps pretty much. I mean, we'll count 1 at the end of the summer, right?
Yeah.
And then 3 throughout the fall season.
Yeah.
Usually guys are running 1 if you're lucky, sometimes 2. So it's like, and again, I can attest for you. I've been, this is my 3rd year going to you guys, like, and I've had no complaints about it. There's always different coaches coming in, coming out, like, but the cool part too is, and I'm the first one to say it, like I'll tell a coach their camp isn't good, obviously in a respectful way, because there are some that aren't running the right way, right? Like the Southern one's great. 30 schools, 35 schools, whatever. Yes, it is a lot of money to be in those, but you're guaranteeing coaches there. And I think that's the cool part of like what Bethke and Shay do with that. But it's coaches always show up. 1, they get paid. 2, they get a ton of recruits from these things because, I mean, what is it? I think the last time I was there, it was 8 games a day or something like that.
Yeah.
And then
lots of guys.
During the summertime, it's usually 2 fields. So you're just pumping out games, pumping out players. And it's like you have a huge pool of players of just Connecticut, Mass, Rhode Island, whatever it is for our local coaches in the New England area. It's great to have those kids in that area. But I think with you guys too, that 4 camps and like you said, of making it, what is yours, $95 or something like that?
Yeah, 95 to like 110. It bounces around.
Where are you going to find that?
Yep.
You're going to be there for 10 hours and it's 10, like I said before, it's $10 an hour. It's less than minimum wage. And it's like, it's not like you said, and I think that's a cool part of what you said. It's not about the money to you guys. It's like, I want the recruits on campus, like see what we can offer you.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like I said, it's the biggest part of our recruiting process. In addition to going out and seeing a lot of guys, it's all right, now let's run a good camp for these kids. Let's get as many guys back to campus that we like as possible and just spend more time with them.
All right, moving on to the last couple of questions I got for you. What was it like being the bench coach for the USA Women's National Baseball Team?
That was an interesting experience. So I had helped with them for 4 years prior to that. what I think that was 2016. So from uh 2013 to 2015, I was kind of like a part-time hired coach, to help them with camps or tryouts, things like that. And then a spot opened up on the real staff, we'll call it, and I was fortunate enough to be given that spot, and I jumped on it immediately. We spent a couple weeks in California preparing for the World Cup that was in South Korea in 2016 that I had the chance to go to. So that was cool. We were playing at like Pepperdine and Cal State Fullerton and practicing, and then I hopped on a plane. I forget how long it was. It was pretty long, and then I was in Busan, South Korea for a couple weeks, and really cool experience. Our women's team is really talented. They are real baseball players. And that 4 or 5 years of my experience with the women's team, it was eye opening. They were really open to instruction and coaching, and they wanted it. And they wanted to prove, essentially the world that, wrong, that like women can play baseball. One of the famous one, Kelsey Whitmore, she's now on the Bananas. If you've seen on social media, she's one of the players that was on the team. So it was cool to watch her work, because she worked really hard at the game. But yeah, it was a cool experience. South Korea itself was interesting, with the fish markets on the street and the food, and the just different vibe. Really cool experience. Would I go back there for vacation? Probably not, but I'm glad I did it. I'm glad I got, a few weeks over there, and recommend it to anyone. If you can get involved with USA Baseball, even if it's for a few years, definitely do it. No matter if it's with the little guys or the older guys or the woman, it's they treat you good. It's a great operation.
I had Cody Kaufman on, obviously my coach when we were at Pierce, and he was talking about like when he was working the 12U team for the national 12U team, and Nick Kurtz was their first baseman.
Yeah.
He's like, dude, it doesn't start like when you're 18 years old. Like that kid was playing on Team USA at 12 years old, hitting balls a million miles on a little field, like, and it just kept going. I don't know, it's just cool to talk about, like, and again, all the different coaches and where they've been, and like, were you there when Weagle was coaching with
Yeah.
them?
So Matt Weagle and I
Yep.
were in Busan together.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely a good time.
It's just crazy the connections of coaches, and obviously it's different now.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
all right. Next question is, can you explain how the Dream Bat Company came about?
Sure. So I was in grad school at Springfield when I was coaching it with the Holyoke Giants at the time. They're now the Blue Sox in the NECBL. So obviously a wood bat league. They had always, growing up and in college, always been kind of an entrepreneur. I was, selling T-shirts in college. You name it, I probably sold it. So I always had that kind of like, I don't know, like urge to own a business. And just one day I was like, hey, these guys use wood bats. It would be cool if I learned how to make a wood bat. So I bought a lathe off eBay. I read the manual, watched some YouTube, and just started messing around. And then in 2006, I believe I quit. I was teaching high school biology. I quit teaching mid-year, and I went all in on Dream Bat, and then did that essentially full time for, I believe, 19 years. Most recently, I sold it, but I am still involved with it. So it is still alive. That was a big thing for me. I didn't want it to die. So the new owner kept the name, and it's operating. I needed some more time to coach my kid in Little League, and I wasn't able to run Nichols baseball, recruit, coach Little League, and run Dream Bat. Like, one of the things had to go. And I felt like it was a good time to step away from it, for at least for a little bit. But yeah, at one point we had 4 full-time employees. We were the official bat of the NECBL and the Futures League at the same time for 3 years. So we were rocking. I've inhaled a lot of sawdust and paint fumes in my day, which is not great. Another reason why I stepped away for a little bit, just, get out of that for a little bit. But yeah, I learned a lot about business. I learned a lot about dealing with people through those 19 years, and just building something from the ground up, and working your tail off to ensure that it succeeds was rewarding. And I think it carries over into what I'm doing now at Nichols. Like the lessons I learned with Dream Bat and the amount of effort that had to go in. Nichols and Dream Bat is very similar in my opinion. So that's the story.
I had a Dream Bat back in the day. Blue barrel, white handle, I think it was, or something like that.
Hopefully it didn't
But
break
yeah,
within the first few swings.
I don't think it did. I think it lasted me a little while.
Good.
I got a question for you. So the 2011 team, World Series
Yeah.
team, right? Could you just touch on what it was like to coach a team? Because I know with being in New England, I can count on my hand how many D3 teams that I know of that have gotten to the World Series. So you mind talking about a little bit about that journey?
Yeah, I mean, you know that journey as well. But that team was really cool. I mean, I think back to our conference final, I believe it was. We were down a run, I believe, late in the game, and we had like this miracle little bloop that like stayed fair by this much. And I think it was by Kyle, our shortstop, Helvey. Had that not fallen and it gone foul, like we probably don't make the regional. And once that happened and that kind of like chaos happened where we won that game at the end, we forgot how to lose. And that's essentially what got us through. Like that just fired us up so much. And we're like, holy cow, like that just happened. And then we refused to lose essentially. So really cool experience. Once we got to the World Series, we faced a couple really big teams. We lost 2-0 or 2-1 to Keystone game one. They were really strong. We had our ace going. Our ace, who didn't break 82 miles per hour, by the way, he was filthy. Matt Rogers, All-American, just like video game. And then we ran into Wisconsin Whitewater, who just won it this past year, and they put it on us pretty good. They're really good that year too. So, but you know, winning the CCC, winning the New England Regional, it was like a great season, like something that won't come around too often. So definitely thankful that I was part of it. And, you know, the guys were the ones that really got it done for us and just, you know, refused to die.
Was that a 8-team regional? Because I know
It
it's
was
4 to supers, 8-team.
an 8-team regional. I think we beat Bridgewater State in the final, but we played like Wheaton, Tufts, like all the teams were there. So it wasn't easy, but it was cool.
All right, got 2 more questions for you. When your players look back on their time with you, what do you hope they say about you and how you've impacted them?
I mean, I hope they say that like I was in it with them, like I wasn't afraid to get down and dirty and, you know, do the things with them that I was asking them to do, which is, you know, consistent and committed and all in. I I would hope they would think that I helped them in more than just baseball and really just be kind of like a life resource for them, uh, and a guy that, you know, like committed himself to the goal for the good of the team, essentially, not just in it for myself. I think those things.
I think with that too is like, I don't know when I said it or who I said it to, but I'm like, a college baseball coach is almost like your second father. Like for 4 years of your life, you're dedicating, again, with the transfer portal and all these things, right? But like you could have 4 of them if you want to go to 4 different schools in your 4 years of eligibility. But like they care as much as your father does about you. And it's like when you move away, you get a new dad essentially. Yes, this one can kick you, first of all, out of school. You can do all these things where your normal dad will be like, dude, you got to figure this out. But like more than not, that coach is also like that. He's like, dude, let's figure this out together. The good coaches, the ones that have been around a lot and the ones that I still know that are coaching today and care about their kids, like, lean on that guy to help you. Like college coaches want you to lean on them now. It's different. Like we said in prior podcasts, but it's different now. They want you to ask these questions. If you don't understand something, ask. Back in our day, you were uncoachable if you were asking those questions because now you're questioning the coach. I'm like, we've moved in such a good direction with how player development and all these things, and people are open to questions and people are open to anything that can help you in the classroom, off the field, in the weight room, whatever it may be. But like kids are still scared to ask those questions. And I think that part right there, when that changes, like that just makes a program better because now all your kids are on that same wavelength and they're like, all right, I can ask anything to a point, but they can ask anything important about the game. And if you don't have the answer, you're going to find the answer for them.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of times, you know, when players started asking me questions more, whether it be like skill or why are we doing this or really just anything like that, that made me better as a coach. it strengthens the relationship as well between player coach when you have conversations about whatever. Yeah, once they stop being afraid to come talk to you, things always move in the positive direction. Very rarely I've ever seen anything negative come from that. So, but yeah, I think hopefully my guys know that, I love them, and, I'm here for them and here as a resource. So,
All right, last question is, what are you guys currently looking for in the 26 class? And then what are you looking for in the 27 class?
I would say any player that's considering to go to Salve or Endicott, that's what we're looking for. No, just guys. Eastern Connecticut too. We'll add them in there. Just guys, athletes, guys who love baseball. We always recruit up the middle, catchers, middles, center fielders. Pitching is going to be super important. I always tell my coaches, if we can get one of our top pitchers a year, then we're guaranteed essentially to have 4 in every staff that we have, 4 A guys. So that's our goal. Get one of our best guys and then fill in with guys who we think we can help and develop. And we'll have a pretty good staff, pretty deep staff with that. So right now we've got 1 middle infielder committed, 2 right-handed pitchers where we're wide open for catcher, more middles, some outfielders, and obviously pitching. So, but yeah, I would say players that are looking to get really in-depth baseball experience at a business type school, those are the guys we're looking for. Guys who want to win, guys who want to get after it. Those are our targets.
All right, Tim, I want to thank you for joining the podcast, and I wish you and the Bison the best of luck this fall.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. Good to talk to you both. 2 of my favorite people.
Appreciate it. Thank you.